Humanity, I love you all with all my heart, with all my mind. I'm so Ray. My videos are about love, infinity, creation, energy, because we're infinite love, infinite energy, infinite creation. This is who we are. We're an incredible species with a human body, with the highest energy of creation. This is who we are, the human heart. Okay, this video is about a series of videos that I've been making on our freedoms as a Republic of Planet Earth Constitution, who we are, the citizens of the Republic of Planet Earth, the leaders of the Republic of Planet Earth, the citizenry of the Republic of Planet Earth, the defenders of the Republic of Planet Earth. We are the human race. This is who we are. This is our species. This is our nature. This is who we are. We're infinite eternal creators. This is who we are. We're the human race. We are the human race. This is who we are. This is who we are. This is precisely who we are. We're the human race. And I love you all with all my heart, with all my might. I do. Love is the key that unlocks the human DNA structure. So let's talk about this freedom. This freedom is a beautiful freedom. It's consciousness and self-awareness freedoms. So let's talk about it. It's so important. It's very important. It's one of our infinite freedoms. Consciousness and self-awareness freedoms, right? So let's talk about it. Let's talk about what it is. It's this who we are. We're infinite consciousness and we're infinite self-awareness because we're the singularity of the human heart. This is who we are, the infinite singularity of the human heart. The heartbeat generates the electromagnetic field of creation, the pulse of life, the pulse of creation, right? This is what the human heartbeat is this electromagnetic field, this spherical energy surrounding the human body because we're light spherical beings. This is who we are. And the space structure of that is the human body. And the highest energy that can create the human heart is love. So love is the highest energy of creation. It's the epicenter. You see, it's the singularity. It's the highest energy, the highest point where you can create elements if you're a sun, which is what we are. Because of where we have evolved as a species. Our proximity to the central sun. We harness the energy of our sun by consuming it. Right? We drink it, we breathe it, we eat it. And this is not any sun. This is our central sun. It's the central sun of our universe. It's the sun that created everything in the first place, including us. Okay? So, and what are we? Well, we're the singularity of the human heart, the pulse of life, the pulse of creation. That leads to what? The singularity of the human mind, which is consciousness and self-awareness, intelligence, being able of creating without thoughts, creativity, consciousness. Right? Who we are. We create realities, infinities with our thoughts and consciousness. Physical, we manifest them with a free will, with a consciousness. As a species, right? This is who we are. So consciousness and self-awareness freedoms, it's precisely this. It's our freedom to be conscious and self-aware. As a species, who we are, our infinite nature of creation. Because we are this. We are infinite energy of creation. This is who we are. With the highest energy of creation, with infinite love. This is our nature as a species. So that's why we have freedoms. And we have the Republic of Planet Earth. And consciousness and self-awareness freedoms is precisely that. It's our freedom to be conscious and self-aware. Because it's our nature, you see, we have sundials. We open the portal. We build a bridge. We stare at the sun. We open our hearts, open our minds, open our hearts. You see, our mind, singularity of the mind. Our heart, the singularity of the heart. Consciousness of awareness, so we can stare at the sun and be conscious of that, because it's being conscious of it is. You see, consciousness and self-awareness has to do with this duality nature, duality principles, right? You need two to create duality. And it's the self-reinforcing mechanism that leads to infinity, that singularity, that infinity. When everything goes to infinity, creates a singularity. But you need two, right? You need the polarization. The electromagnetism that generates that singularity that leads to infinity. But you need two, the duality principle. And that's why consciousness and self-awareness go hand in hand. They're one. That one. Because is who we are, the singularity of infinity of creation itself with the energy, the highest energy of creation, which is love. It's like sandal and compass, right? How do you become conscious? It's like your consciousness and self-awareness and have freedoms. How do you understand these? Well, in order for you to know that you're conscious, you need to be aware of that you are conscious first, right? Otherwise, you're just unconscious and you're just not thinking, you're just doing, acting, right? Without really knowing. But in order for you to know what consciousness is, you need to know what consciousness is. So you need a duality to know what consciousness is. So what's the opposite of consciousness? Is unconsciousness, right? So if you don't know what consciousness is, you're going to be unconscious because of that duality principle. So how do you know you're conscious? Because if you're unconscious, you will not know that you're conscious because you're unconscious, right? That's why you are unconscious, because you don't know what consciousness is. But how do you know what consciousness is? With self-awareness. Why? Because in order for you to be self-aware, you need to be aware first, you see? So it's this evolution. It goes from unawareness to awareness, from awareness to self-awareness, and from self-awareness to consciousness. Moving away from unconsciousness, you see? It's this, you move to these states, infinite states. We move these virtuous cycles of infinity due to duality principles because of our nature as a species, right? So what is this then? Let's break it down. Consciousness and self-awareness freedoms, right? So from unawareness to awareness, right? That to state that duality starts there, right? It's understanding that you are aware of what? Well, aware of that you exist. And we can, as humans, know that immediately because of our infinite abilities, because we have senses, you see, sensory perception. And we know that we are aware that we are something, right? We know that we are something. We're aware that we are something. And why are we aware that we're something? Because we can see ourselves through our senses. We can touch ourselves. We can feel ourselves. You see, we're sentient. And that's what consciousness is. It's knowing that you're sentient, that you exist, that you have senses, that you're real. You see? So it's an evolution. So first you need to be aware. From unawareness to awareness. From awareness to self-awareness. And from self-awareness into consciousness. You see, it's this duality. Self-awareness and consciousness, they go into infinity together like this. It's a virtuous cycle of infinity. It's a singularity of its own, you know. It never ends. That's why we have consciousness and self-awareness freedoms. That's what consciousness is, to be conscious of your self-awareness. And how do you become conscious of your self-awareness? By stopping being unconscious. And how do you stop being unconscious? By being aware. Because when you're aware, that leads to consciousness. And when you're conscious, that leads to self-consciousness. And self-consciousness leads to self-awareness, right? It's this infinite cycle. They all connected. You can get to the outcome through equifinality, meaning you can get to consciousness and self-awareness either by being self-aware into consciousness, or by being conscious into self-awareness, or by being unaware into awareness, awareness into self-awareness into consciousness, or from unconsciousness to consciousness into awareness, then into self-awareness, or into unconsciousness, self-consciousness, self-consciousness, consciousness. It's all these, but these all part of the same consciousness and self-awareness, right? Because those are the states. The highest state is consciousness and self-awareness, right? But it starts in the duality principle of not knowing, unawareness, unconsciousness, awareness, consciousness, self-awareness, self-consciousness. You see, it's all this process. But in the end, the state, the epicenter, the singularity, so it's like the duality, right? So you have unconsciousness and self-consciousness. And those are the polarities. And they come into infinity and create the singularity, which is consciousness. Right? And then you have unawareness, awareness, self-awareness. And they lead to the epicenter, which is self-awareness. Unawareness, awareness. coming together, leading into self-awareness. It's infinity, you see. You need the duality principles to know the state so you can see yourself reflected, because for us to know that we exist, we need to know that we exist first. Self-reflection. We need to know that we exist first. And that's what consciousness is, that's what awareness is. See, you need to be aware that you exist. And the way you do that is through your senses. Sensory perception. Because we're intelligent, we're a sentient species. The singularity of the mind is that consciousness and self-awareness of our existence. And the only reason why we do that is because we're sentient. Because we have feelings. And when you feel, you know that you're real. Because, hey, I'm touching this, I feel this. It's a sense. You see, I'm touching this, I feel this. So I know that I feel this at least, so I must exist. Because I can feel this, I can touch it. I can smell something. I know that I'm smelling something, so something exists. Which means I exist. Because I can smell it. So you see, that's what sentience is. Sentience is being aware of your senses and your emotions. And by being sentient and having emotions, feelings, love and feeling the senses, touching, smelling, tasting, hearing, seeing, then you are aware of that. At least, if you're not self-aware, at least you know that there is we're kids, right? When we're born, we don't know who we are. We don't know an identity to ourselves yet, but we know there's something there. We're born, right? We're something. We there with something, right? We touching, we feeling, we seeing, we getting to know and stuff. Right? Because we're senses, it's sentient. You see, it's the heartbeat, the human heartbeat, the pulse of life, the pulse of creation, because we're alive. We're creation, we're alive. That's what being alive is, consciousness of awareness. But when you're alive, it's all these sentience, right? All these senses, all these feelings, all these emotions. At once you're born, you're here. Hey, I'm real, I exist, I'm here, I made it. Okay? And this is who we are as a species. So it's our instinct to be self-aware and conscious. It leads to that. Our instincts lead us to that. Because we're sentient, we're highly evolved, you see, as a species. Because we're so intelligent, we're so ancient. Our DNA is ancient, right? Because we come from the epicenter of existence. The central sun is the sun of suns, is the first sun, and we come from that sun. So you see, it's because of our senses and our awareness of our senses, because we feel them. So by feeling, all right, because we're sentient, our sentience of our senses and our feelings and our emotions, feeling right immediately. You touch something and you feel something, hey. And if it hurts, you feel it, the pain. It's a memory right there, a reminder. You see, this is who we are, this is our nature. You see, I just did that. Right? So I hear it, I feel it, that I'm real, I exist. Right? So this is why there's states, right? And we can know the difference. You know when you're feeling and you know when you're not feeling. You know when you're touching and you know when you're not touching. You know when you're hearing and you know when you're not hearing. You know when you're tasting and you know when you're not tasting. You know when you're seeing and you know when you're not seeing. You know when you're smelling and you know when you're not smelling. Right? Because of our consciousness, because of our self-awareness. Because we are aware. But that's our instinct as a species to get there. As we get older and we start to learn the environments, then this is objective reality, you see. As we start to learn our environments, then that's when we start to become conscious and self-aware as we get older. But since the moment we're born, we know that we exist. It's the instinct to know that we exist. It's that awareness of that we exist, we're real. Hey, I'm learning, I'm just learning and stuff. I know that I exist because I'm here, I can see, I can sense, I can feel. Sensory perceptions, feelings, emotions, right? Sentience, right? You're still forming early stages. You're just born, but you're there. You understand there's a brain, right? Singularity of the brain, singularity of the heart. We exist. So it starts at the very, because it all starts with you, right? With the origin, identity and true self compass. Identity and true self, purpose, time and energy, action, why, how, flow, true north and destination. And that leads to sundial, right? Staring at the sun, opening the portal and building the bridge, and knowing that love is the highest energy of creation. You see, it's that self-awareness of knowing who you are first before you understand your nature. So this is who we are. That's why consciousness and self-awareness freedom is such a fundamental freedom. It is such a fundamental freedom because it is such a fundamental freedom, It is such a fundamental these freedoms are fundamental because it is our freedom to be, right? To exist, to be conscious and be self-aware. Self-awareness and consciousness freedoms, right? Fundamental. And they work together. It's this very infinite virtuous cycle. This self-reinforcing mechanism that leads to a singularity because of this infinity that they always, when you're conscious, you're always going to be self-aware. So consciousness leads to a lot of self-awareness, and then self-awareness leads to consciousness, more consciousness, and then you go like that into infinity, which is our nature. And to understand who we are, our origin story that I have shared with you so many times, our DNA, who we are, the infinite eternal creators and co-creators of infinite eternities, the humanity, benevolent species, our nature. We live to love and we love to live. We're compass, we're sundials, we're heritage, we're legacy, we're the human race. Light spherical energy, light spherical beings, who we are. We create infinities with our thoughts and our consciousness, primary elements of creation, who we are. We consume, we breathe the elements of creation, making us a bigger creation. And no, we're not breathing from any, these elements that we're breathing, these elements that we're drinking, these elements that we're eating, and food that we eat, and the sunlight from the sun, it's not any sun, it's the central sun of our universe. So we're a big creation, you see, a big biology. Big biology. So really big, infinite biology, right? This is who we are, the human DNA. And love is the highest energy of our biology that allows us to exist. And that love is what gives us consciousness and self-awareness. Why? Because love is sentience. Love is senses, is feelings, is emotions. It's the highest energy of creation, right? And by loving, then you are very conscious, you're very aware, you're very self-aware, you're very self-conscious. You're very much in attune with your senses and your feelings and your emotions. Because you love with the energy of creation itself, because it's what gives you life in the first place. It's the highest energy of creation. The human heartbeat is there to generate the electromagnetic field. But once you generate that, the highest energy of creation is love. Our instinct is to love. It's like we love our children. We make love, we have children, right? That's our instinct, to love our children. It's the same. Our instinct is to love anything. And once you know this mechanism, we unlock the key. It's the key that unlocks our DNA structure, our infinite structure of creation, who we are. Tetragrammatons, we're an incredible species. Okay, the central race. Amazing. So let's talk about it then, right? So it starts with the states. Unawareness, awareness, awareness, self-awareness, right? Unconsciousness, consciousness, self-consciousness. It goes like that, right? It's duality always. You need to be one state and become another state to know the difference. And it starts with self-reflection, always. It starts with us. And the only way for us to self-reflect as a conscious species that we are, us, our species, the human race, is to have senses and being sentient, feeling. Because by feeling, you know you exist. Even if you don't know who you are, even if you don't know your purpose, even if you don't know your nature, you know that you exist because you have senses and feelings, right? And by that, that leads to consciousness and self-awareness through evolution, which is our nature, to evolve into infinity. So it starts like that, right? At first we're unaware and then we become aware. How? By our senses. Because of our senses, because of our feelings and our emotions. And when you're aware, then you explore that. And that naturally leads to self-awareness. because the awareness is coming from you. So you would always find something that would mirror back to you, self-reflection, and it would show you who you are. Either by looking at yourself in the mirror and knowing that you exist, look at the mirror or whatever, or the reflection by getting feedback from other people communicating with you, humans, right, like us, or situations, or you by doing something. There's an infinite number of ways to get feedback, because infinity we're surrounded by feedback of all sorts to remind us that we exist, because of our senses, because of our sensory perception, because of our feelings, our emotions, our sentience, and all because of the human heartbeat, the pulse of life, the pulse of creation, because we're alive, we're a life form. And by being alive, you know that you exist, because it's an instinct to find your consciousness, your self-awareness. These are instincts of our species to understand our nature that leads within, which is the highest energy of creation, love. Right? Okay, so it starts there, right? The senses, our perception, right? Sensory perception, are all feeling them, the sentience of the senses, right? Sensing those senses, right? Feeling them, emotions, right? So we know that we exist. And that's awareness. Knowing that you exist is awareness. By being aware, eventually leads to self-reflection. So you become self-aware, meaning that you know that you are aware that you exist. And when that happens, you become conscious, because you're conscious that you exist. You know that you exist. And that's a level of consciousness. When you know that you exist, then you become conscious that you exist. It's like when you know something, right? I know mathematics. And by knowing mathematics, you know you're conscious of what mathematics do. You're aware, you're conscious, because you know. Knowing, right? That's why we think, because through thinking, we know, we learn. You see, we're an incredible species. We learn, we know, we think, right? We feel, right? We have emotions, we have senses, and then that leads to consciousness, that leads to self-awareness. That's why we have consciousness and self-awareness freedoms, because this is fundamental. They come from love, because love is what it's the highest energy of creation, and it comes from the heart, and the heart is the pulse of life, the pulse of creation. It generates the electromagnetic field of creation, right? That allows us to exist, the singularity of the heart. So that leads to the singularity of the mind. So we're conscious and self-aware. You see, it's all together combined as one. It's a full package. It's a package deal. So this is who we are. This is our nature. So you see, that's why we have consciousness and self-awareness for instance, because it's a virtuous cycle. They just reinforce into infinity, both of them. Okay, so let's start there then. So you're unconscious, right? Meaning you don't know what you're doing, or you don't know the way you're behaving, right? You're unconscious about certain actions, or unconscious of something in general. You're not conscious because you're not aware of it. But how do you become conscious of it? By becoming aware of it. And how do you become aware of it? By observing it with your senses. And if your senses are not there, your feelings, your emotions, because you would feel it, and then that would make your senses pay attention, right? And that's an instinct, and it's the instinct of the human heart. We follow our heart, our signs and signals of the human heart, which is the pulse of life, the pulse of creation. He gave us life in the first place. He's the creator, the biological creator, because love is the highest energy of creation, you see. It all starts with the heart, because it's the instinct to live. Without it, we wouldn't exist. It's a primordial instinct. You see? So when the embryonic development starts, ontogenesis, the very beginning of life, right? Before the human heartbeat forms at the embryonic level, around the 20th day of formation, before the fetus and all this stuff. Why is that life form alive before the heartbeat that gives it the life of its own? Because of the heartbeat of the mother inside the womb, right? You see, it all starts with the heart. It's always the heart. The heart is always there at the very early stages. In the beginning, if it's not your own heart, because you're an embryo, before you have a heartbeat, around the 20th day of your formation in gestation, in development stages of the embryonic ontogenesis, then it's the heart of your mother, the womb, that is carrying you, that keeps you alive, because by that human, the host, being alive, you exist as a result, because that person is alive, so you still exist, you see. But then you get your own heart. So this is why the heart is the most important thing, because it all starts with the heart. So that's why we follow our hearts, right? Our instincts, signs and signals of the human heart. We follow our heart, our instincts, because we're sundials. We infinite eternal creation. We channel the energy of the sun through our eyes, open the portal, build the breach, and love with the energy of our heart for a reason, because it's infinite consciousness, infinite self-awareness, infinite creation, because it's a human heart. Okay, so this is who we are. This is our nature. This is who we are. This is our nature. We're an incredible species. So you see, why the heart? Because it's what gives us the emotions, the sentience, so the feeling. So we immediately, if we cannot see it with our senses, or feel it, or touch it, or smell it, or whatever, we will feel it in the way of an instinct. And that instinct comes from the heart, because the heart is what gives us life. The instinct to live is the primordial instinct. And that instinct is the human heartbeat, you see. Without the human heartbeat, we wouldn't exist as a species. So it all starts with that. And because we have a heart, then our nature would lead us to consciousness, to self-awareness, to awareness, because of our sentience, because of our love, because of our heart, because of our instincts, because of our signs and signals of the human heart, because it gives us lives in the first place. You see, it's our instinct. And because we're extremely evolved, then our heart is this extremely intelligent, infinitely intelligent energy, because the love of the heart is the energy of creation. We create with the love of our heart, the highest of creations, infinities with our heart. You see, the love of our heart is the highest energy of creation. Why? Because we're light spherical energy, which is the pulse of light, the pulse of creation, which is electromagnetic field, spherical energy, and the space structure of that is the human body. You see, and the highest energy that singularity generates is love. So it's like the sun is this ball of energy, right? This light spherical energy that created us in the first place. The central sun of this universe that created everything, because all the energy comes out of the central sun, the singularity. And where is the singularity? At the epicenter of the sun, right? And the hottest point, the brightest point is that, so the energy goes out and creates everything, including us. So, but we became the image of the creator, the sun. So we became suns ourselves by being infinite energy of creation, spherical energy, in the image of the sun, just the same as spherical energy. That's what we are. But we don't see the energy, otherwise we won't see anything. If we only see our electromagnetic fields, then we won't see anyone. We won't see faces, we won't see bodies, we just see light everywhere. But because we're more than that, we have evolved into the space structure of that light energy. And that is the human body, our senses, our consciousness, our self-awareness, our emotions, our feelings, our intelligence, right? This is who we are. We're an incredible species, amazing. And what do? Well, we consume, well, we are alive, right? We eat, we drink and stuff. So what do? Well, we consume the building blocks of existence, the sun itself, because we're the image of the sun. We evolve into the sun. So we harvest the energy of the sun. We drink it, we breathe it, we eat it. So by consuming it, that's why we're light spherical energy, because we're powered by oxygen and hydrogen, which are these elements created, at the epicenter of suns and the planet and the support systems. So think about it, right? Think about it. This is who we are. So the building blocks of existence, the central sun that created everything, we consume that energy. So we're extremely advanced species, highly advanced, biologically speaking, extremely advanced. The most advanced with the epicenter of existence, the central sun of the universe. So by de facto, then, that means that our heart, because those elements, where do they come from? From the heart, the epicenter of the sun, right? So we're the image of the sun with this ball of energy. So what is the epicenter of this ball of energy, this spherical energy that we are? The epicenter of it, where the energy comes from that creates that electromagnetic field, is the human heart. So the human heart is the epicenter of the energy of creation. It's the singularity of the human heart, of our DNA structure, right? So just think about it. So at the epicenter is the brightest, hottest point, right, where the elements are created. So it's the same because we're the image of creation. So what is the meaning of that? Well, the meaning of that is that the highest energy comes from the heart because it's the epicenter, the singularity, where the energy comes from the generates electromagnetic field, the human heartbeat, the pulse of life, the pulse of creation. But what's the highest energy that the human heart can generate? Love. So you see the epicenter, the highest energy of creation is love at the biological scale, because this is what gives us life in the first place. And when you love, everything, follow your instincts, right? Signs, signals, immediately. Senses, self-awareness, consciousness, emotions, feelings, you're aware, right? Immediately because of love, because we're alive, pulse of life, pulse of creation, we're alive, so we have senses, we have feelings, emotions, consciousness, self-awareness, everything happens at once. Because the higher you love, the higher is the creation. So that's why we're compass, because we're primary. Just like the sun creates elements at its core, we create primary elements ourselves with the energy of our heart. And that's identity to yourself, first knowing who we are. We are this energy, right? Self-awareness, consciousness of who we are, because of the singularity of the mind, which is an organ. All the singularities of the organs and the glands come as a result of the singularity of the human heart, because it powers everything. We're an incredible species. So think about it, right? So that's who we are. You see, consciousness and self-awareness is that. So that's why consciousness and self-awareness is such an important freedom. There's such important freedoms because of that, because it's where we get to once we understand our nature. Our consciousness and self-awareness allow us to understand our nature of infinite love, infinite energy, infinite creation. Knowing that we're the epicenter of the universe. Knowing that we are the highest energy of creation. Knowing that we create with our thoughts and consciousness, knowing that we manifest our free will, knowing that we manifest primary elements, we create them with the love of our hearts by knowing who we are first, identity and true self, right? By having purposes, by managing our time and our energy, by taking action, purposeful daily action, by understanding why, how, which is a mechanism of infinity to manifest it, by flowing, because love is a flow of infinity, with our emotions, with our actions, with our bodies, because we're infinite energy. True north, so we stay on path, on course, follow the way, the journey, stay on track, right? The stage, the theater of life. And then destination, which is manifesting our dreams, they come true as a result, right? Because we're manifesting these primary elements with the energy of our heart of creation, the epicenter, the singularity of the human heart, existence itself at biological scale for each individual, self-awareness of we are that, consciousness, right? So when you're conscious of that, then that leads to more self-awareness, and self-awareness leads to more consciousness, and it's an infinite virtuous cycle. Because it's our nature to know that because of the human heart, you see? Because the human heart gives us a life, so then we know that we have senses, emotions, feelings, and then we start there, and then that leads to awareness, and awareness leads to self-awareness, and then consciousness and self-consciousness, and that. Moving away from unconsciousness and unawareness. Because of duality principles, because the way we are, because of our infinity, consciousness and self-awareness freedoms. You see, it's fundamental, because once you have these fundamental all freedoms are fundamental, but I always say this, but consciousness and self-awareness is this extremely fundamental freedom, because it's knowing who we are, our nature. Everything about us, our DNA, everything. Love is the highest energy of creation. Everything. When you know everything about that, all the origin of who we are, our DNA structure, our nature, everything, right? Then you know who you are, so then you find your destiny. Our destiny is to find who we are, our identity and true self, so we can know who we are, which is compass and sundials, this virtuous cycle of infinity. We stare at the sun, we open the portal, we build the bridge, you see? It's all this energy that we're channeling through the sun, through us, so we can love more and be more consciousness, more infinity, more awareness. more singularities. Our heritage and legacy is that. You see, that virtue cycle, they together go into infinity because of our DNA, who we are, species that we are. The central species at the epicenter of the cosmos. So these are consciousness and self-awareness freedoms, you see. This is super important. It's an extremely important freedom because it allows us to, we have the freedom to know who we are. And we know that by being conscious and self-aware. So consciousness and self-awareness freedoms are fundamental. There are these fundamental freedoms, right, that we have. Because this is our nature, right? It's our destiny to know who we are. We already do. We're the Republic of Planet Earth. We are the citizenry of the Republic of Planet Earth. With the Republic of Planet Earth's constitution, this is who we are. We're the human race. We're a benevolent species, a loving species, a heart-based species, a love-based species, a heartful species. We live to love and we love to live. This is our instincts. This is our nature. This is who we are. We are the human race. This is exactly who we are. This is our nature. It's our destiny to know who we are. So we can have an infinite number of destinations. Once we know who we are, we already know who we are with the human race. We're the defenders of the Republic of Planet Earth. We're the citizens of the Republic of Planet Earth. We're the leaders of the Republic of Planet Earth. This is who we are. We're infinite eternal creators. We're co-creators of infinite eternities. This is our nature. We're infinite love, infinite energy, infinite creation. Love is the highest energy of creation. We're the human body. We're an incredible species. The human species is an incredible species. We're compass, we're sundial. This is who we are. This is our nature. Humanity, I love you all with all my heart, with all my might. Remember, consciousness and self-awareness freedoms, fundamental. Love you all with all my heart, with all my might. Love you all.